All right, we are live. Tapping Birdie with Skyhook. Pleasure to be joined by him, the ownership guy, the DP World Tour guy, the long shot guy, the Monday qualifier guy. Like, you got a lot of crowds, you got a lot of things going for you.
You got to just plant your flags a little bit of everywhere. You'll eventually get a few that stick. I mean, I don't think Thursday at like 6:45 to 8:45 a.m. I've been anywhere else but in front of a computer for the last 3 years, which, is very, very good opportunity to take advantage of.
Yeah, so you are the ownership guy. I have your tweets pinned. I have your notifications on. And I just keep them on for the week. Some less loyal people might just have it on Thursday morning, but I'm down to know what you're up to throughout the week. So, as the person that posts the ownership that everyone goes to, when I go to bed at night on Wednesday, I'm like, I cannot wait to see ownership in the morning because it's so fun to talk about during the week. And you hear all these takes and where you think ownership's going to be at, and then you finally get it. So, are you, since you do it every single week, like, are you more in tune where you think ownership's going to go? Do you have your own like perception in your head as to where this guy's going to come in since you do it every single week?
I wish I was better. The biggest race to me is like the time I can post it in. Like I don't view myself as the most accurate projector. If you get into the weeds and like big weeks like last week, like I was shocked on some things, dead on a few, but no, I just think the unique lineups, the structure, like if you look into win stacks when there's a wave split, like just finding you could dig into that data for weeks and find new things. Like I'm already thinking for the Open Championship, maybe there's an angle I can find that we haven't looked at yet before that we can see how they're building their lineups by ownership. Are they stacking certain guys with this? Like that's where my head spins because I'm never going to get it right where exactly ownership ends up.
Yeah, no, but it's tough, and I appreciate the work that you put in. I know it's just a few Excel things, but no one else does it. So I appreciate your work.
Thank you.
On that. Before we get into the U.S. Open, before we get into a million different things, we're presented by BetSperts. Go check them out. They have a lot of great data, a lot of great tools. If you're watching on Twitter, go watch on the YouTube, like and subscribe. The whole shebang. They're a great sponsor, and they pay me to talk about golf. So I mean, you can't really ask for much more than that. We are coming off a major. We are coming off a tournament where we collectively bet first, second place, us three together. But I don't have any money to show for it, but you do. As a Matt Fitzpatrick ticket holder, how happy are you? And I'm sure that was a pretty exhilarating Sunday for yourself.
I would say that might have been the best Sunday at golf that, I've really tuned in like start to finish from. Like I can probably the only one that comes to mind that's close, in just my opinion, would have been like when Tiger won the Masters. Like that's how close it was to me in just pure enjoyment of really, really good golf. Now, if you didn't have any money in the mix, would you felt that way? Probably not. But man, when you have things alive and the golf is that good, of course, winning at the end did. If Scheffler would have won, I wouldn't feel that way. I would feel the way you are, like that for me, like it would have been frustrating, but damn, that was very fun to watch. The best guy probably won. I think Fitz eventually did a couple more things right, but like Zalatoris, I would go to war for that kid. Like I really, really love him and have been tracking that career for a good amount of time. And it just sucks to be so close because what sucks even more is like, well, he's gonna be like 22-1 at the Open. And we're gonna have to keep betting these numbers that get lower and lower. And it's like almost not even gonna be worth it at some point. But man, that was a lot of fun. I mean, Fitzy deserved it, Zalatoris deserved it, and he gave away Southern Hills. I think he didn't give away last Sunday. Like I thought he like blow for blow was right there. And
you think Zalatoris gave away Southern Hills?
I guess more than what he did yesterday or something. Yeah. Like he probably kicks himself more about that one than this. I mean, every single person gave away Southern Hills and realistic, like
it never should have been anyone's but Mito's.
Correct. And obviously he gave it away. But like, I mean, Zalatoris, he 3-putted 16 or 17 and then missed another shorty. Like he could have won that outright easily. I don't feel he could have won that outright easily yesterday or Sunday.
Yeah, it was really unbelievable to watch. I think it was a great Sunday, even if you didn't have money involved. I think it was a
Yeah.
more enjoyable major Sunday as to what we've seen. Willie Z was my guy. Like from the start of the week, I said, I think Will Zalatoris is going to win the US Open. And he kind of got off to a slow start. And I kind of in my head was like, you know what? Like, he was so close to last two majors. Like, maybe there's going to be a little regression. Like maybe this wasn't the week. Everyone finally realized just play this guy in majors. He's the second most tipped golfer. Everyone's picking him. And then it's just like Saturday, it's like the most, hard day all week. Everyone's shooting over par. Willie Z, major condition guy, shoots 3 under, one of the most impressive rounds, I've really ever seen, and puts himself right back into the tournament. And then, he comes out in the final group. He was in the penultimate group at the PGA Championship. And as I also had a Scotty ticket, and once Scotty made 4 birdies on the front 9, I was like, I think Scotty's going to kind of get it done here. Like, I think he can kind of run away with this. He's going up against 2 guys that have legitimately never won in the United States on the PGA Tour. And like Scotty did on Saturday, he kind of regressed a little bit. And, Zalatoris, he didn't get off to a great start. And off the tee just kind of killed him like all week. And obviously he could have, just ejected after he was +2, through however many holes. But he really battled back so well. And obviously you can, whenever you miss a playoff by 1 stroke, he had that 6-footer on the drivable par 4 that he missed. But then, he played really excellent golf down the stretch. And it was just really heartbreaking because, like with Rory, like after Rory won 4 majors, early in his career. Oh, if you were like, oh, he's not going to win one for another 8 years, he might not. Oh, he'll get another chance. It's like, I don't really know. Would Jordan Spieth have? Would you bet that Jordan Spieth would have 0 majors since the 2017 Open?
Sure.
No, you would not. So, how many opportunities are you really going to have? It's yet to be seen. I think if he puts together an even, I think it's a little bit different, but I think you look at Louis last year, he was so close and, the same 3 majors. And this year, obviously, he's a lot older and he was not a talking point at all. I don't think it's going to be like that with Al, but there's really no guarantees in golf. So it's just tough for Willie Z, given how close he could be to having, maybe 2 major championships at this point in his career.
That's the crazy part about it is like you could say 3, I mean, he could be like literally what Brooks, the Brooks run that he had, that could have been something for Zalatoris, and it would have been way bigger from a storyline of where, I mean, I guess Brooks at the time wasn't as top tier as he got to, but like still, I mean, for a kid to come out of almost nowhere like he did and come onto the steam, like there's one round, I'm going to bring it up when he wins a major at some point, but there's one round that Zalatoris that he popped on my radar. So not many people know this, but 2018 he played in the U.S. Open at Shinnecock, and he missed the cut. But the second round that week, he gained like 4 strokes approach, and he hit 17 greens in regulation at Shinnecock on Friday, where people, it wasn't the hardest day. It wasn't Saturday when they lost it, but I mean, people were still getting bamboozled out there. And the kid out of nowhere, open qualifier, just led the field in greens and regulation. I was like, oh shit, like, okay. And like ever since then, it's like, okay, so like Saturday, like that is the kid that showed that life 4 years ago. So it's like, I think you're exactly right. You pray that he puts himself in those opportunities again, because it would suck if he didn't come away with a major championship during this little run he's got.
Yeah. And, we'll be on it, but I'm not as, pessimistic about the number going forward. I think that he'll be in that 25 to 35 to 1 range as long as he doesn't win another event. So, but the thing that really gives me the most optimism about Zalatoris is so he has 3 runner-ups. He has the runner-up at the 2020 Masters. He has the playoff loss at the 2022 PGA, and then this event. He's consistently played better in every single one. I've watched that round. It's on YouTube. Watch that Sunday round at Augusta where he lost by 1 stroke. He putted horribly. I think he had like 2 or 3 putts And it was really, really tough to watch. And then you look at Southern Hills, he had that really bad 3-putt on 15. You know, other putts, I'm not really sure. He didn't have a single putt the entire PGA Championship. He played really well on Sunday. He was top 5 in strokes gained putting, gained like 7 strokes putting throughout the week. The driver really killed him. The driver killed him, unfortunately. And you know, we always look at the strokes to gain data and it's just like, wow, like he is the approach guy. Like he is the approach player. Like he is top 3, in my opinion, approach player on the PGA Tour. But I think I don't know if you always see it, but I think that back 9 where he legitimately put everything to 12 feet. Like, I think he's so elite. I really think he's a very elite long iron player, and that's really where his vibe is. But I think even through the wedges and everything, he is just so elite on approach across the board, and that's just going to carry over into majors all the time. I don't even think the putter is really an issue because he drains a lot of bomb putts. I think it is the driver at this very point that's kind of holding him back. He was just neutral with the driver this week. So I think that's something he needs to work on. And, you know, we're talking about Open Championship. I don't love him at St. Andrews. I really don't. I really don't think it's a really great spot for him because, as you know, if the weather's not up, it's not going to play that difficult. And we want Zalatoris when the winning score is -4 or -5. So I luckily got a big future on him at 60-1 for the Open Championship, but I couldn't be anywhere close to as confident in it as, you know, Augusta, US Open, or PGA.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. I think it's hard in general to log up too many futures tickets on Open Championships. It's probably not the least one you can do. And I think you hit the nail on the head. He did. I think he had a bad driving day. It might have been Saturday at the PGA Championship where just a little bit too wild with it. That, you know, I mean, a stroke or two here, a bounce here or there, and that is the tough part. Is he probably? I mean, it was a little bit of luck too. I mean, they blow the drives right on 15, and one happens to be 15 yards further, and you can get it to the green. The other one you lay it. You know, like it's. But yeah, his putting, it was so good. It was so. The scene of him walking that one in, like when it was a 1.5 feet out, like that was like arguably the best. Like, I mean, that is just like middle finger to anybody that, what do you call them, the Instagram morons that like, you know, just.
The thing about the Instagram morons comment, he was talking about like his swing. Like he was talking about his like left like some like public, they like, I'm like, no, he was talking about his swing. He was not talking about the putting. But yeah, on 15, it was just, you need breaks like that to win a U.S. Open. I talked about it on Andy's pod. Rahm gets a lucky break off the tee, gets a free drop, and then he drains 2 bomb putts. Fitz drains a 50-foot bomb putt. He fans one completely outright. And at the end of the day, Fitzpatrick took advantage of the situation. I don't know how many guys on tour can get up and down from 225 on a back 9 of the U.S. Open, much less so a practice round. I truthfully believe that Matt Fitzpatrick is one of the best long iron players on tour without a doubt. I know obviously small sample size with that one shot, but Matt Fitzpatrick with a 5 iron, with a 4 iron, with like, he is extremely elite. And, you know, it was that obvious. It was, it wasn't even like Fitz came in bad form. Oh, but he won the U.S. Amateur in 2013. You know, me and Andy were talking about it. He said that he thinks a lot more people would be on him if he didn't win that U.S. Amateur. What does everyone talk about with the U.S. Open? You have to be an elite driver of the ball. He's a top 5 driver of the ball on the PGA Tour without a doubt. You have to be good in majors. Second at the PGA, top 10 or top 15 at the Masters. So we checked that box. Have to be playing well. Had a lot of great results throughout the season. Obviously great in difficult conditions. Obviously great with the long irons. Like, it made so much sense. But people don't want to bet a guy that's never won on the PGA Tour if it's not Zalatoris. So I want to give a lot of credit to you because although he won the USM and it checked a lot of boxes, a lot of people did not want to bite the bullet, but it turned out to be an absolutely excellent event and bet for you.
Yeah, I mean, The number wasn't pretty, but yeah, I think the more you ran at the statistics, the guy looked to be top five, probably at worst, when you ran a lot of these models. And it was like, okay, if the fifth best guy, the way I'm looking at things, is still 28 to 30 to 1, like that's not where that fifth guy should be priced in theory. So like, I mean, that's the way I felt about Zalatoris, and it was, thankfully in that spot. But yeah, I think the coolest thing is gun to head when you go to these majors now, like, I mean, those guys are probably as much as you trust anybody. Like you might, if you told me, okay, we're teeing it up at the U.S. Open tomorrow, who is your number one pick? I mean, Zalatoris is probably literally the guy I trust the most out of anybody.
Yeah,
awesome.
and it's like you pick three guys to play well in a difficult event: Zalatoris, Scotty, and Fitz. Like those are legitimately the guys that you can just trust always, and I think they will be. But yeah, it was a great event, and I had the thing. I was in a difficult situation because I had to win like $4,000 on Zalatoris, but I only had to win like 1,500 on Scotty. So I couldn't really put a big hedge in, because if Scotty were to win, like if I threw his grand on Fitzpatrick and Scotty won, like I would have just wiped out a lot of like that profit. So it was, if I didn't have Scotty, it probably would have been a little bit easier, but it's fine.
You probably would have had to hedge on two people potentially.
Which don't want to do, but I luckily got some money down. It was not a bad week for me. But this is the reason why betting golf is so great, is because you can be in a position to win a lot of money down the stretch, and there's no better feeling than that. And when you win, it's the best thing in the world, and when you lose, it's horrible. But that's kind of the point of it. And if you keep putting yourself in the position, you have opportunities to hedge and work things out. So it was a great event. I think the U.S. Open has been really great the past few years, and I think it will continue to be. But, we got other things at hand. We have the Travelers Championship this week, my hometown event. I will be there Saturday and Sunday. Absolutely cannot wait. Very much looking forward to it. In kind of your research and being a longtime golf bettor, what kind of things have you looked for at this event? What kind of trends are you looking at? Do you buy the U.S. Open the week before thing that happened with Ches and Harris? So over the years, how has your success been at the Travelers Championship? What are your overall thoughts here?
I do buy into that narrative quite a bit, and it feels kind of suckerish, like it's so obvious that like it doesn't make sense, but we kind of do it every week in theory. We love small sample sizes. We love to see a guy that was dialed in with their irons on Sunday. Like we live to do that. So the fact that it's a major, maybe more people are aware of it, but yeah, it's a stronger field. So I think, better players are probably going to win. We've seen good players win. And so I think I am definitely, the way my card shakes out, it's people that not just played well last week, but have shown some life more than just that. But overall, I think it is. This field is stacked. You look at the top guys that are here. You have obviously everything that's going on with Liv. Like there's just way more hype around maybe like a typical, hopefully it's the same kind of vibe we had in Canada with it. From a past history, I don't remember like hitting anything big. The only thing that I can vividly remember is Guido last year was in the event. If I can classify my favorite golfers in the world, Guido Migliozzi would be, number one. He finished one stroke out of being T10, and T10 gets you to the next week, and it would have been at Rocket Mortgage, and I'm rather confident he would have won that event. So we'd be looking at Guido with a PGA Tour card right now. So I'm still a little hurt that he came up one shot short. But last year, I need to find the tweet tomorrow. He was the golfer that presented the most risk to sports books out there. He was literally the most bet golfer. They're like, who is this kid? Because he had T4 the week before. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's my favorite Travelers memory.
Yeah, no, it's a good event. It was great being there last year. I hit Harris English. And I think, again, Pat Mayo, who is your boss, he's your boss, like 100%. Like, he brought it up on his preview pod like 3 weeks ago, and I was like, yep, that's it. Like, that is the trend. That's what I'm looking at. Harris English, T3 at the U.S. Open, goes out and wins the next week. Ches Reavie, T3 at the 2019 U.S. Open at Pebble, goes out and wins the next week at the Travelers. I just love that trend. I think it's going to continue this week, and I think it's something that everyone should be looking for. And, that's kind of how I'm kind of structuring my card and how I, want to bet things. So we have some great names at the top of the board. I'm not interested in any of them from a betting perspective, but out of Rory, Scheffler, and JT and Cantley, those three at the top, who is your favorite DraftKings play to start your lineups with? And who is your kind of favorite play up here? I know you're not betting anyone.
Yeah, I think for me, and maybe it is, go back to our original point of conversation, some of the ownership's up and understanding. Scotty just doesn't really ever end up, like, he feels weird being the top. It still feels weird. He's the highest priced golfer, like, every week. Like, I mean, he was single digit owned last week. Like, people just love to go to Rory. They'll make an excuse to play JT. Maybe Cantlay's too underpriced. I think if I continue of what I saw last week, and I mean, those were the best irons Scotty has had all year long last week from a strokes gain standpoint. I mean, Rory was in the mix because of the short game. I mean, you can, it's easy to pick any of these guys, but I think DFS purposes, to me, people end up leaving Scotty alone way more than they should. And there's no reason why that kid can't come out and just win another event this week. So he would be my pick of the litter.
I like it. I played Scotty last week. I was in Chad's contest. Obviously, it's like a lot different, but he was like 4% owned. Yeah. So I had like a 4 out of 6. And when he was leading the tournament, I was like in like one of the top 3 spots. So I do agree that people just don't play him because there's just a lot of better guys to, have a little cheaper price for. But my favorite play up top here is going to be JT. I just think week in, week out, he presents the most bang for your buck. In DraftKings, obviously he's going to garner some ownership, but I just think that he is such an elite wedge player, and I just really, really, really trust him inside 150 yards. You look at the proximity distance, obviously he's first in all of those, but I really think his shine is with his wedges. So I think on a shorter course where you can club down off the tee and still have a shorter club in, I just trust him. I think he's having an absolutely fantastic year with that major championship win. And he's, just put together a lot of top 10 finishes. So I really like JT to start my DraftKings lineups this week. He'll be someone I'm playing. Cantley, I'm usually the square guy. Everyone is betting Cantley this week, and I'm not exaggerating. He is such a popular bet this week at like 16-1, and all my friends are betting him. A lot of people on Twitter are betting him, and I'm not down at all on Cantley this week. Obviously going to bite me in the ass. Fade Cantley this week. Not down for him at all. Obviously, he has like 3 top 15 finishes here. That's fine. That's okay. I think there is a narrative that he is due for a win, and I think he's a very complete player, which I think has shown to be important here. I'm not buying the Cantley love. I'm not betting someone under 20-1 this week, so I'm not going to pay up a bunch of money for Patrick Cantley the week after a major where he just played all right. So Cantley, everyone can bet him. I'm good, and I don't want to follow him all weekend. So that's, another aspect.
Hey, that's a very smart decision from that standpoint. Pray he doesn't get grouped with any of the guys you're on. It just feels that the weird thing above 10K too, and it just feels so obvious to not play Burns, but Burns being priced where he is, he's realistically not going to be owned at all. He fell off of coverage like 3 holes in on Sunday. And I think, it was a good week from him, but him being at that price is a little odd where you wouldn't expect it to be. So you'd probably get that single digit 10K guy would likely end up being Burns this week.
Yeah. And, someone put this out before. It was, I think, 925 Sports. And I thought it was a pretty good stat that I liked. Obviously, again, small sample size. We love small sample sizes, though. But it was, okay, let me pull it up. So if you consider the players a major, after majors, 26 at the Players, then he won the Valspar the next week. Masters 53rd, second place the next week. PGA Championship 20th, first place the next week. So he tends to shine after these big events. So I think from a DraftKings perspective, I think it's a good play. I'm not going to get there under 20-1. I want a lot of bullets this week. So I think that he is a better play than Cantlay,
Yeah.
I would say. In my opinion. But the guy I'm starting my betting card with at 25-1 is going to be Jordan Spieth. I think that he's consistently proven this season that you just play him on short positional golf courses. His best two finishes this year were at the RBC Heritage, which he won, where no one was on him. It was the week after a major, and he was off a missed cut, and you get him to a shorter track, and he just seems to excel for whatever reason. You mix in the fact that he's won at this event in the past, and then his other best result of the season, which I think there's a lot of crossover in players succeeding at both, is Pebble Beach. A lot of wedges, a shorter course, smaller greens, have to have a good short game, have to work the ball both ways. Like, I think that's Jordan Spieth. I was hoping for a 20-1 on him, so a 25-1 readily available on many local books. That's a no-brainer for me. 25-1 Jordan Spieth, I really like it. I think he continues his dominance that he's shown this year on these shorter courses. And the mix in the fact that he's won here, I just think it's a really good bet at 25-1 and someone that leaves you a lot of options if you want to start your betting card with him.
Yeah, I think I ended up starting a little bit deeper, but I mean, you just zoom out on the way Spieth is playing right now and the way getting over, the hump after he came with a victory last year. And now, I mean, it just getting him 25-1 in these type of events just feels like he could easily be bumped down, into the higher teens without a doubt. I think I even saw 365 was like enhancing it to 28-1, like,
yeah,
that, which I always hate that when they're on, they do that when the guys are on. But yeah, I think Spieth
is it boosted?
Yeah, it was one of the like enhanced odds.
Because I know that they do. They just like give you enhanced odds if
it was like
you
the
just can't
banner
cash
bet. It was like the banner. Yeah, right now if you go, I guess so bet boost him to 28,
okay,
now to 40. Yeah, so if you have anybody, or if
I can. I placed a lot of bets on 365. I don't have it in New York, sadly, but we have some people that then can place it for us. So yeah, we'll get that 28-1, and maybe we could fit another guy. So. We can't talk about everyone, but someone I'm debating a little bit that I don't really see, but some smart people, DG Betting, who is my friend. We're going to the Travelers this weekend. He's absolutely excellent. We really respect his opinion.
Dude, he had the call of he had some like legendary tweets last
Dude, I cannot believe that Fitz tweet. Like,
that's so good.
Fitz on 18, pipes one down the middle, then goes into the left fairway bunker and plays it from there and puts it close. Like, you can't be more prepared on a major. It's like Fitz was like, I'm going to be there on Sunday and I could be in this position. And that was unbelievable. And he just puts out great content. So I'll be with him all weekend. We're going to be having a great time together. So, and he's like, I'm betting Neiman. And I was like, okay, but I like Neiman on a course that's long and difficult, and ball striking is at like a prerequisite, and you're going to have a lot of long irons in my opinion. That is my player profile of Joaquin Neiman. And this week does not feel like that for me. Off the top of my head, I don't know how he is with his wedges, but he said he can, okay, well, you look at, there's a lot of cross, Bubba has dominated this event. DJ has won this event. They've both been great at Riviera. So you have longer people that have played better here. I don't know if I fully see it. I think I might stick to my kind of, in my head, when I think about him, I want him on a long, difficult golf course where you have to be an elite driver of the ball. And I don't think it's that this week.
Yeah. I'm not there on my card either. I really liked him last week. I bet him last week. And, it was because of what you're saying, that the ability to take advantage of the best part of your game. And maybe, guys like Dustin, when he won, and Bubba, maybe at the time, they had more weapons in their bag than just the driver. And not to say Neiman doesn't. He's been really good with approach. He's been better around the green than he had before. But that is the question I ask myself as I get more and more down here, because guys I do like, their skill set is off the tee the most. It's like, is there a way to take advantage of that? Or like you're just you're going to have to club down with everybody.
Yeah, I mean, just looking here, just over the past 50 rounds, his best proximity bucket is 150 to 175, which again checks out. He's 27th in proximity from over 200. He's 67th in 125 to 150, 42nd, and that's not horrible. But again, I think I might just stick to that. And
Yeah,
I want as many bullets as possible this week. So betting Spieth and then Neiman, it would just kind of cut my card short a little bit. But the first guy on your betting card, someone you're starting with that has just been absolutely phenomenal over the past 2 months, and I think that he really has a chance to be Rookie of the Year, is Davis Riley. What drew you to him, and why did you want to start your betting card with him?
He's just been unbelievable, right? Like, I mean, it really is a run of, incredible golf. I mean, you bring it back to Valspar when it first showed up, but I mean, he ripped off, 6 consecutive top 13 finishes, 4 of those inside the top 10, and arguably some of those don't really credit the positions he was in, midway and halfway through 54 holes. I mean, he probably should have won the Charles Schwab. Is that the one that he blew? Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. He's just been so good. And to be priced where he's at, I mean, the irons were just as good as usual last week. He just didn't chip it that great. He's not somebody who's overly demanding off the tee. I think this plays right into the hand of his style of golf. And I just think, even though he hasn't gotten over the line yet, he was a 2-time Korn Ferry Tour winner. I do love to know these guys have that in them, in the past. And you're going to either fade him till he falls out of form, or you're going to bet him till the wheels fall off. And I'm the latter there.
Yeah, I think, I bet Davis a few times. I played him in DraftKings a bunch because he's just been so consistent, and I don't really have much of an argument against him this week. I think it's a good play. So at 40 to 1, it's not the best number, but again, sometimes when these guys have bad numbers, they go on and win, and you're kicking yourself because it's hard to stomach, but sometimes you have to. And honestly, the books know, and they've seen his finishes, so they have to price him at around 40 to 1. So just quickly, everything I said about Neiman, I feel the same exact way about Keegan Bradley. Give me Keegan Bradley on a long, difficult golf course where ball striking is so important. That's where I want to play Keegan. Not at a place where, Andy pointed out that a lot of top 10 finishers last year didn't even gain strokes on approach. That does not sound like Keegan Bradley to me. So that's just an easy fade for me. So the next guy that we both bet, our first shared bet of the week, is Seamus Power. I was lucky enough to get a 60 to 1 on him on Bet365. He was someone I was very much looking forward to betting this week, and I was willing to pull the trigger at 45 to 1. Bet365 puts out a 60 to 1. It was really a no-brainer for me. So he fits the trend of a great finish at the PGA, at the US Open last week. He finished 12th. He was really good on approach. I think he was top 15 on approach last week. And something that I really look at, again, very simply, just he was so dominant for the first 2 days at Pebble Beach, back-to-back 64s. Again, Kevin Streelman, DJ, Bubba. I don't know if Bubba's been good at Pebble, but there's been a lot of crossover in winners at Pebble. So Pebble, it's a shorter course. I like Seamus Power with the wedge in his hand. Again, he showed that at Pebble Beach. I like it again this week on a shorter course. Again, has the finish last week. He's been playing decent golf this year. He was really excellent, as the season started, posted a lot of really great finishes. So 60 to 1, something I bet at 45 to 1. I think it's a no-brainer. And I think that's why he's so popular this week, because his price is very attractive given his recent results and kind of his, performances on other courses that are kind of similar.
Yeah, I echo completely with you. I think one thing that has been eye-opening is there's courses that I portrayed as driver heavy, in which he hadn't really performed all that great at. He ran, after being in that really good stretch of golf to start the year, he missed a cut in Phoenix, missed the cut at the Genesis, missed the cut at the API. And I was okay, maybe there is a certain style of course that he doesn't fit. But then he goes out and he performs well at all 3 majors, and they definitely do require the driver way more. So I could stomach him way easier last week, but then you show up here with him after another good week. And it's like, it just seems like an absolute no brainer. And that's why he's as popular as he is. And the differences in odds, I mean, the 60 that opened was beautiful, but there was also a 28-1 at open on DraftKings Sportsbook. Like, clearly they don't know where to price this guy. He's going to fall somewhere in the middle. But yeah, he seems like, if you could make one stab at who is the repeat of Ches and Harris, 100% power.
No. It's actually, well, so? First, it's
okay.
It's Denny.
Okay. Well, that's the second guy for me.
Denny's winning. Okay. But, not even eye test, just I saw it. He was good with his wedges at Pebble. From 125 to 150 is 15th. And he's 137 in this field and 200 plus. Like, he definitely prefers wedges over long iron. So I really like that, and I really like how we played this week. So I spoiled it. I truthfully 100% believe that Denny McCarthy will win this golf tournament. I got a 75-1 on him. Again, top 5 finish last week. You look at the leaderboard and you say, who's the random guy there? Who's the random guy? It's Denny McCarthy. Harris English and Ches Reavie were the random guys on the front page of the leaderboard before the Travelers' victories. And I think there's a difference between someone popping for 1 week and, then going on. Denny's been playing some absolutely unbelievable golf this season. I think he's probably, he's playing really great golf without a win. And I think the thing that people forget about Harris English was that he was in the final group at the Palmetto Championship the week before the U.S. Open, and he had a really great shot to win that tournament. Now Denny's coming off 2 excellent results. 5th place finish at the Memorial, gained 5.5 strokes tee to green. 7th place finish at the U.S. Open last week. I just really, really like this bet at 75-1. And I think he fits the trend most of really anybody. And, again, I hate to say it, don't want to jinx it. He's made a lot of cuts in the row. So I think he's a great DraftKings play for that reason. And, he was 2 shots off the lead of the first round lead at the Wells Fargo, and he just kind of faded over the weekend. But I think it's a guy that has just been playing some really great golf consistently, and he's going to a course that I think suits his game, a little bit shorter course, have to get hot with the putter. We've seen people go really low. So Denny McCarthy, first round leader, Denny McCarthy, top 20, Denny McCarthy outright, top 10, top 5, everything. I'm playing him every which way this week, and I think it's really the best bet on the board.
Okay, and I love it. I'm on Denny too. I'm right there. I think it's in lockstep with Seamus in a sense. But to your point, I'll echo what you said. Is I went through Ches's lead up and I went through Harris's lead up, and you're exactly right. It wasn't a flash in the pan at the U.S. Open and then a win. It was definitely life before that. And I mean, there's probably a dozen guys that you could say played well at the U.S. Open that you could try to fit into that narrative, but there has to be, to me, more. If I'm going to trim it down, there had to be more lead up in the fact that what Denny has done for a consistent amount of time now, 5 cuts in a row that you said, and again, it wasn't on a course that you would ever dream of him being in the mix. Like, he popped on some specific numbers, but it was like, dude, this course is long, it's difficult, you need to drive the ball, and all he does is putt it. And they didn't show his irons and drives all that much, but my gosh, he had a 12-foot birdie putt so many times on the weekend, and you just kept watching him go in or run. Like, he could have gotten to like 4 or 5 maybe had he made a couple more, and he made a lot of them. But yeah, I mean, he showed his best irons last week that we have seen out of him. I mean, I think it might have been one of his career weeks, at least since like 2020. That was the best irons he showed. So yes, I completely agree with you. The progression leads up. I am 100% betting him as well.
No, like, he's winning. Like, it's not even like I haven't been this confident in an outright bet in a really long time. I was extremely confident in Willie Z last week, and it came in second. So it's not like, I'm just throwing anything out. I really think Denny is going to win this week, and it would be an all-time call, but I'm so here for it, and I'm ready for it. We got a few more guys to talk about. Aaron Wise, again, same bucket as Keegan and Jocko. I just think you play him on long, difficult golf courses with a lot of long irons. That's not this week. So I'm out on Aaron Wise. for that reason. Is there any, I know you're not betting any of these guys, but from a DraftKings perspective, is there anyone in this kind of, 765 to 100 range that you like? Steele, Varner, Mitchell, Webb, Day, Kokrak, Bez, KH Lee. I think KH Lee is a terrific DraftKings play this week. Mav, Todd Tringali. Is there anyone you'll be targeting in your DraftKings lineups this week?
Yeah, I'd hit on probably three of them that you went through. And it's guys that, again, you do have to zoom out at some point. You can't just literally only play guys that played well last week. Like, you have to think of what Steele's ball striking was the last two events that he had. I'm a little worried when Brendan Steele does become chalky, and it seems like it's that way. Like, do we really trust him at 7,700?
He was really chalky at the Memorial, and he came through for everybody.
It feels gross, but I mean, he seems really strong running into it. I don't feel like I ever played the Todd Father, but he also has shown, multiple times in a row, and maybe people do get a little bit forgotten about when they don't play the major, and then you show up there, so you hope to see him. He would be the next one, and then Killer Keith. I mean, Keith has that same type of thing where I think people were shocked when they would have thought about him last week, and to realize he didn't get into the U.S. Open. People would have been willing to play and bet him, I bet you, last week. And it was like, okay, no, we qualified for the Open Championship, not the U.S. Open. So I think those three will be mixed into kind of an MME pool for me.
Yeah, my favorite out of those, I bet him, I got an 80 to 1 on him on Bet365 again, is Keith Mitchell. I really like his play. I really like how he's playing right now. I bet him outright. I bet him top 20 at the Canadian Open, and he really delivered. And I think he's putting together a really nice season. And I think that also he tends to pop on shorter courses for whatever reason, even though that he's, an elite driver of the ball. He's obviously won at Honda, but you look at some of his finishes: 7th at the Sony, 9th at the Honda this year, 7th at the Canadian Open. I think that was a little bit of a shorter event, 12th at the RSM. So I think he's a good play at high odds. He's just someone that I, bet recently, so might as well. Has horrible course history. We'll give everyone that. He's missed his last 2 cuts here. That's fine. That's okay. Not 80 to 1. Take a gamble on someone. But KH Lee, again, I hate saying this, but I don't think he'll win. I'm not going to put him on my outright card, but I think he's a great top 20 play. I think that he is a great DraftKings play. I'll definitely be playing him in a lot of lineups. It's not even a bit at this point, just how well he plays at TPC courses. It's just not even a joke anymore because he's consistently done it. And he had a sneaky fine finish at the U.S. Open last week. He finished top 30. I think he was T25. He's 33rd in proximity from 125 to 150. He gained 3 strokes off the tee last week. KH Lee, I'll just continuously play him at TPC courses, and he's in some really good form, and he usually makes a lot of cuts. So I'm not betting him outright, and I really hate saying I don't think someone's going to win bet and placement, because my boss last week, he knows I like to gamble. He knows full well what I do, and he's like, what are your 2 favorite plays? And I'm like, Matt Fitzpatrick top 10. I was like, Fitz will be there. He won't win, but Fitz top 10, lock. I obviously had money on it, but that doesn't really compare. And then I was like, Max Homa top 20. That did not work out. So it sucks because I've had placements on guys that win. It just sucks.
Yeah.
So KH Lee, I don't think he'll win twice in 1 year, but again, I don't know. Maybe a top 5, top 10. I think that's a good play. But I think that for whatever reason, there are some really, really spicy, great numbers on long shots this week. Guys that we bet a month ago at less than 100 or 200 to 1 this week. I'm not really sure what that's about. My friends have pointed out that historically long shots have not really done super well here. I don't I think a long shot can win. I don't know if a certain course prevents long shots from winning for whatever reason. Kramer Hickok easily
exactly
could have
what I was
fucking
say.
won.
And he was 300 to 1.
Here.
Yeah.
So I know we got a few bombs on our card. My favorite one to start is Cam Davis at 150 to 1, winner on tour last year, top 3 finish at the Heritage, another shorter positional golf course. for whatever reason, he plays really well on short courses. So 151, that's easy. Your first bomb that you're betting this week is Nick Hardy, which I do not know much about. I can't say, but what kind of struck you fancy about Nick Hardy this week?
So there's kind of a specific mold that I look to get guys like on my watch list during this like little summer stretch. And it really starts with the US Open qualifying. I think that is one of the hidden like kickoff of form things that exist out there. So Nick Hardy, he Corn Ferry Tour player last year, graduated. He was a 3-time All-American at the University of Illinois, stud, amateur, elite golfer, and did well first year on the Corn Ferry Tour, gets his card here, and he gets injured early on in the year. Showed a little bit of flashes, nothing too much though. Gets injured, comes back, plays Corn Ferry Tour event, finishes second in that. And I was like, okay. He was short number, was in Illinois at his home. Okay. Then he goes and he gets an alternate spot for the US Open. And he probably kicked it away. He bogeyed like 3 holes down the stretch. So, okay, we're showing some life in the 36 holes. So I bet him in the Canadian Open. And within 2 rounds, I think he's like T8. Like he's in the mix somewhat. And I think he bogeyed like 3 holes in a row to start Saturday and never really kicked it into gear, but finished like T30. So he was on like this watch list. And then he goes out and he does what he does at the US Open, which is he's inside the top 10 through 54 holes. Like, I think he touched like -2, like early yesterday or Sunday. And it was like, okay, like, I mean, Hardy could like find a way to like be right here at the end if he does. And that's enough. So like, that's the guy that qualifies for me for a list here. And to see him at 200 to 1, I mean, he putted the crap out of it at the US Open. But like he can ball. And I think it's a deep number that I'm just going to continue to bet, and also bet him if he doesn't show up this week, keep him on your list. Being from Illinois, John Deere next week,
Winner,
be on the John Deere card. Yes,
winner next week.
So.
When you kind of sold me on that. Honestly, I'm down for Nick Hardy. I'll be playing him in DraftKings, a nice top 20 play on him. Maybe he'll be in the mix on the weekend, and I could go follow him around. But I'm down. You sold me on that one. That was an easy sell for me on Nick Hardy, a guy admittedly I do not know much about, but I'm down, honestly. So good sell. And I hope that my listeners also got a decent sell on that. I got the 200. I will be betting that. Someone I'm betting, this is again, like you talk about, just like a pure talent play, a pure like this guy I think has pretty good talent. I think he could be a future winner on tour. So like, why not bet him? Is Alex Smalley. I got a 200 to 1 on him, coming up with 21st place finish at the RBC Canadian Open. Again, he was much more in it than his things approach, but he gained over 7 strokes ball striking, 11 strokes tee to green, just couldn't putt well and still find a way to finish T21. So I really like that out of him, and he showed flashes earlier in the season, second at Corrales, 6th at the Mexico Open. This is a pure like guys that kind of had, a taste of victory. So he could be this year's Kramer Hickok. So I'm down at 200 to 1. So another bomb that we are both on, ironically enough, is Adam Schenk. Nice. I thought Adam Schenk was like legitimately going to win the Canadian Open, and I was like,
he withdrew. I was so pissed.
I was like, because the Canadian Open again, it was a shitty board, like it was just like a tough betting board, and it was just like, okay, like that was like the one guy I was super pumped to bet, but you just looked at the ball striking from the Memorial, gained 7 on approach there, going to a course where you have to, I think a place where you have to ball strike it around, have to be an elite driver, have to be with your irons. And he goes with Drew. And then it's like, stupidly, I abandoned him last week in none of my DraftKings lineups, none of my like I think he was like 7-9 last week. No, he was like 6-9 or like 7-2 or something. Did not play him at all. Like, idiot, stupid. So we're going back to him, 280 to 1. I like the play. I think that he was in it at Farmers early in the year, and I get that's an absolutely horrible comp, but he's tasted it before. Again, I talked about how I don't like good ball strikers, but that's at the top of the board. Okay, I'll take it at 280 to 1. So Schenk, coming off 2 great results. Why not?
Oh, 100% agree. And in the middle, and the reason why he withdrew is he qualified for the US Open. So
Yep.
again, like in those 36 hole events, dude, those are difficult, like a PGA Tour, like alternate event field basically. And you gotta, be inside the top 5 to get there. So he does that, deservingly withdrew. And yeah, he was top 25 at the end of like every single round last week. That was a very good performance at the US Open for him. He sniffed the top 10 at a couple points. And yeah, I was blown away. Like he was no doubt on my card, and to get him this deep, like, and I always am somebody, if it's like 30-1 and plus, or even 28-1 and plus, I like to top 5 guys. And at this range, top 10, you can top 20, like you say. It's just the way, that's my hedge protection in some ways, to kind of do that. And yeah, I was blown away by that number. He seems like a no-brainer here for me, and somebody who didn't just flash 1 week. It's now been 3 different times we've seen him show that.
And okay, I always do this. I always do a pod. I always have a couple of beers in me, and I'm like, I am investing so much money in DraftKings this week. I am. I seriously am. He is $6,600.
Yeah.
Am I crazy, or was he more expensive at the U.S. Open?
I'll pull it as we go.
Can you pull it up? Because
yeah.
I remember him being like kind of in that like low 7s, high 6s, if I'm really not mistaken. I'm really surprised at the 6,600 this week, and that leads you to play a Scotty, an under-owned Scotty. So he's going to be in a lot of lineups for me. Make that in with Nick Hardy. I mean, I just love it right now. I'm feeling really good about DraftKings this week, but again, I want a lot of bullets. I'm betting a lot of bombs. So my next bomb is going to be Adam Svensson. This is a little bit of a tell on Andy. He really likes him this week, but Svensson, he just seems to do it on shorter courses for whatever reason. And I wrote him up as my favorite 6K play at the Canadian Open. He finished T21, gained over 4 strokes, ball striking, gained in every major category across the board, which, looking through Fantasy National quickly right now, he has never done on the PGA Tour. So I'll take a guy at 280-1 that has his last performance out, gained in every major category, even was able to be, positive with the putter, which is always what he struggles with. So I feel really good about my bombs this week in Svensson, Shank, and Smalley. I think those are just 3 fantastic plays.
Yeah, no, answer question. So Shank was $7,100 at the US Open last week. So a $500 reversal.
Don't tell anybody. Like,
oh, no, I won't.
Like, that would be something I would tweet out and be like, what the fuck is going on? Because that legitimately makes no sense.
Zero.
But I don't want to pump ownership, and only the people that are watching right now will know. Adam Shank, every single lineup this week.
You can stack Rory and Scheffler with some Shank Hardy lineups, and it's like easy money. I think I already spending it by this time. I got a bachelor party in Ohio this weekend that we can spend the money right now. So, gosh.
All right, we're depositing $200 into DraftKings right now. This is not a joke. All systems go. We have found some excellent plays here. Your next guy, probably the last guy we'll talk about in depth, is Goddard. You put out the trend, you put out the thing at the Canadian Open, and you might have got a little bit of shit for it, and he totally bombed. But you're ready to go right back.
So, okay, we like small sample sizes. We like, digging in. Okay. His first round was putrid. His second round was better at the Canadian Open, but no one paid attention to really, what he did at the US Open. And so, okay, let me pull this up here. And so if I told you, okay, where are we at? So final 54 holes. Strokes gained, ball striking. Number 1, Keegan Bradley. Number 2, Scotty Scheffler. Number 3, Matthew Fitzpatrick. Number 4, Chris Goddard. Number 5, Hideki Matsuyama. Over the final 54 holes, Goddard absolutely striped it. He made the cut. He needed a par down the last, and he hit it to 3 inches on Friday to make the cut, and then he striped it all weekend. He was 3 under through 6 holes on Sunday morning. before people, they're rolling out of bed. Here's Goddard just lighting up the course. And so he ball striked it very well. He had open qualified for the U.S. Open. Of course, misses the cut in Canada. But then he comes there and he went to Rutgers. He's a Northeast boy. He's going to be out there. He might feel more comfortable in Connecticut here. And, I think for the number, for the upside, these kids that we don't know anything about, I love to take the risks on them just because it comes at most of the time no ownership, except when the thread's out there and he becomes like 22% owned. And I'm not doing any of the threads this week. I think we can go back to the Goddard Upwell, play him. He's very cheap. He's $6,400. And I think if you're showing that ball striking against the best golfers in the world, you got something in the tank.
I love it. I think it's a great play. I think it's a great buyback spot. And, a lot of great names did not make the cut at the U.S. Open. So I don't think there's anything to shit on there. So I like the play. I have never been more confident in kind of a like bomb scenario than I have this week. So DraftKings top, I feel really good about this week. I think we navigated the board well. So you are obviously a host of a DP World Tour betting show with Tom Jacobs. Excellent show. Love to check it out if there's a big event. So this week, you got any locks? You got any guys we should, throw a couple bucks on? I know Billy Horschel is the favorite. I want to pull up the odds to see if I just know anyone, but who are kind of your favorite plays on the DP World Tour this week?
Yeah, so it's very interesting this week because it's the first event post live and they're letting the live guys play. So there's 6 or 8 of them that are teeing it up. You have Sergio, you have Louis, have some of the South Africans, you have some of the English guys that are playing. So it definitely brings in this whole conversation of what's going to happen with the DP World Tour and if it's going to partner or get bought out, what is really the next few months hold ahead. But that being said, I think there's some decent action down the board. I start my card. I think probably the guy that I wanted to bet the most is Oliver Becker at 40-1. I mean, find him in that 35 to 40 range. He would be if I have to just walk away with one selection, he's the guy. And at the Live Golf event, he got to be part of it. I'm not sure if he's going to continue to be a part of it because he's just a fringe kind of golfer, but he striped it. I watched him just birdie putt after birdie putt. I mean, he couldn't make anything. He finished T6. He make more money than these guys have ever made in his career. And, he's been really good on the tour so far this year. So he'd be the one that I'd be running to off of the jump. And if I had to go with one more selection, I won't run through the whole card. I'll go through the next one that if I respect a lot of people out there, especially on the DP World Tour picks, it's Ben Coley and it's Bradley Todd. And we align on Masahiro Kawamura, who is kind of a mainstay. I mean, these names, man, I'm getting so good at these pronunciations these days.
Impressive.
And yeah, Kawamura is coming off of a career high strokes gained approach week. He has been somebody who finds himself in the mix quite often. He's really, really good around the greens. You have to take it deep at this course. And he's 90-1. Maybe you can find him in the 80 to 100 range. We all aligned on Kawamura. So if I had to pick somebody on a long shot, he would be the one.
Done. I'm betting Becker and Kawamura, kind of opposite of Morikawa, and then I'll probably start my card with Ryan Fox because he just seems to be in it every week. So
for sure.
Why not? Those are my 3 guys. I'm betting it this week, parlayed with every single one of my picks. Totally easy, not even a question there. So I want to ask you because after the U.S. Open thread, I was like, okay, he hit Garrett Woodland at 100-1. There, he's obviously been doing this for a while. How long have you been betting on golf? What are some of the first events you have bet on, and what are some of what would you say your most impressive wins or favorite wins that go back a little bit before my time?
Yeah, so I would say probably started 5 or 6 years ago, probably 16, 17. I just moved to Phoenix and just got incredibly dialed in at an office job that I could just spend all day staring at Excel. And I was just so before stats became popular and digging into things, I on my own was running week to week statistics. So Moose was simultaneously building Fantasy National and was supplying sheets and stuff. And I would be putting up deemed them rolling stats, and me and Axis would be like 5 tournaments, 10 tournaments, year-long windows when you couldn't, if the guy, you didn't know how he played the week before. That's what my first memories of golf was delivering stats, and it was much easier then than it is now. It was like, okay, you could see who actually hit it well in the last 4 weeks. Like, so those were like early on. And then that evolution went to the European tour, where you would have to, like, if you didn't run the numbers on Friday night, you didn't know how the guy played on Thursday. Like they didn't become available. If you didn't refresh the website at, 6 p.m. in the after everything finished, like you didn't get the stats. So that was like, I'm a stats nerd. I love like that. So like those early days, like that what sticks out to me more than like remembering winners, and it was just like being able to like learn to love this stuff. And that's where it's good and bad the way things are now. It creates the edges and what it used to be. It's not like it's all available, and it's gotten to grow to be such a really cool community. And why I find myself still digging into the DP World Tour or looking at the LPGA, who's got a major this week, and these things where not everybody knows everything anymore. That's when I first like cut my teeth, and that was a lot of fun to do. Gosh, if I could think of Guido is the perfect example of a golfer that if you didn't run the numbers, you never heard of the kid. And he was the literal greatest ball striker I've ever seen in stats. It was so good. It was so good. And the kid missed every single cut, man. He based on the stats, like he was losing 4 strokes putting per round. Like it must have been like blind. Like it literally was terrible. And then he found it one round, and I ran the numbers on Thursday night. I was like, oh shit, our boy had a good round. Can we bet him? And we bet him at the event after the first round. He hits a ticket. He wins again like 3 weeks later, and he becomes a sensation. Like those early type of things, like you just don't, unless you're digging into the numbers, like that would be my favorite kind of finds, like the Zalatoris early on, Morikawa when he first came on, and now everybody knows Goddard when he plays for the first time, but do they know Yuka Saso on the LPGA tour, who's the best Japanese golfer, Korean golfer out there, and she wins the US Open at 300-1? No, or else they wouldn't have posted her at 300-1, so that's what keeps me still going, is like, okay, like you can find these. Like outlaw golf was my favorite time ever betting and playing. Like DFS was by far, that was my favorite thing, because the research is what mattered. Like now these guys are so good, we can find it all. Like we're all going to end up somewhere near each other, except for me and you being the 2, and everyone else listening on Adam Schenk this week when he cashes that big ticket.
I love it. I think that it's all great. And, I kind of, was kind of a late adopter of betting on golf, and I'm fully admitting of that. But it's just like cool to see that people like have been betting on this for the past 10 years, and how harder it was to do, and how many different things you had to look at. But looking at the women's major this week, I mean, I know we're like joking around talking about parlays, but I mean, why wouldn't Jin Yun Ko win? She seems head and shoulders above every single one on the LPGA, and she's a co-favorite with Nelly Korda. I mean, I'm just confused. I feel like she's like extremely, extremely good at golf.
Yeah, I mean, she's unbelievable. Nelly just came back she was out with a blood clot for like 3 months, and she's come back and finished 8th, and then she lost in the playoff on Sunday. So she's deservingly being a co-favorite again. But yeah, I mean, Jin Young's super good. I think I haven't dug into made any bets over there yet. I'll see if I'll get around to their Cupcho, who has already won a major this year, and then she won last week. It's still 40-1, which feels a little odd to me. So if I had to like gun to head pick a bet, she seems like the one there. But yeah, man, it's just like the game of golf is just crazy in the sense that like that is, if we all have our different live opinions, and we don't need to go round and round and circle on those things. But what I don't want to see happen is the stories of these guys spending their lives trying to achieve their dream, and the ones that like we fall in love with as they grow, like to get that taken away, like that is what I fear the most. And I just don't want that to happen.
Yeah, no, I don't. And it's just at the end of the day, regardless of what you think about anything, you're just going to be betting worse numbers. So, like, I don't know why anyone would be a proponent of that. I'm mistaken. Obviously, I don't know my women's golfers, but Minjee Lee won the last major at Pine
Yes.
Needles. She's
Yes.
12-1.
She's
That's
good.
my bet.
Yeah,
Like,
she's electric. She's probably, I would say she is more informed than Jin Young Ko
okay,
is
so
right
what's
now.
Jin Young Ko's deal? Like,
So
has she won this year? Like,
she won, I think, like the first event.
so why is she the favorite though?
Because last year she had like the greatest year of golf like anybody has ever had.
Okay.
Like, like so good. I think she like hit 100. Like it was like an insane. I think she won an entire tournament
with
hitting every green in regulation, like a continuation. It was like 130 or something nuts. Like she is unbelievable. But yeah, Minjee won the last major. Cup Show won the one before that. Yeah, I think they've had 2 this year. They have 5.
And it's that congressional great golf course.
Yeah.
Honestly, if the Travelers wasn't this weekend, I would think about maybe going because the course just looks so pure. But I like Minjee Lee. Again, I know nothing. I know legitimately nothing, but I know she won.
Trifectas,
I know she won the last major, and she was a dominant performance. So, like, why can't she go back to back? So I think that's a great play. So we got our doubles. I'm telling you on the DP World Tour, I like those picks. So we're going to have a lot of money in action this week. And, that's just what it's all about. And hopefully we have a great Sunday sweat. But, Sky, it was an absolute pleasure. I thought it was a really great pod. I thought we gave out some really great information. And I, hope everyone checks out your stuff and pins your tweets. Put your notifications on for your ownership because it's always great. It's always good to look at. And I really appreciate you coming on tonight.
Yeah, man, I had a blast. It was awesome to do. Your show is legendary. You, my friend, are a treat, and I hope you have a blast this weekend there. That's always nothing better, man, in-person sweat.
Nothing better than, just following a guy around all day. And I'm hoping I want a low-key group. I hate following big groups, but last year when I went, there was no real big groups, and hopefully, Rory and, everyone misses the cut or someone, I actually don't want them to miss the cut. I want there to be like a high-powered group. But yeah, we gave out the nuts. We gave out the best lineups. I'm depositing $200 into DraftKings right now as we speak. We're building lineups fresh in the moment. Sky, was a pleasure. I appreciate everyone who checked us out. I hope everyone has a great night, and I hope we have a good summer and a profitable summer of golf betting.
Yep. Amen, my friend.